Hey, welcome to my shop again. This is what I'm going to be doing today. This is actually a two-piece turning, the bottom and then the top. I'm doing this video just to show how I do two-piece turnings. I'm using the feature ring that I made in the previous video. I'm not going to show anything that I've already shown in other videos. I'm not going to show any turning or any sanding or finishing. Basically, this is just going to be on the construction of a two-piece turning. I'm not going to show how to make a dot-to-dot ring. I've already shown that in a video. I'm not going to show how to make a basic segmented ring. I've already got a video on them. So, this is made from Wenge. It's got the feature ring I previously made, and the rest of it's maple. And it's made from two-piece, and I'm going to show how I make the two pieces and put them together. Very rough drawing of it. Not really a good drawing at all. Just a rough idea of what I want. And I made it so I can include the feature ring, the size of the feature ring in here. So let's go on and get started with doing that. Now, like I said, I'm going to make the base and the top out of Wenge. And the Wenge I got's 5 inches across. So when I get down, there'll probably be about 4.5 inch base. I'm not too particular. We'll just build it and see how it goes. So I'm going to put it on the chuck. So how do you prepare to put it on the chuck? Well, the easy way I found to do that is to use the cold jaws. I'm going to hold it in the cold jaws, and I'm going to turn a mortise in it. I'm also going to turn a ring for the bandsaw to cut the corners off, just a guide. You can use a mortise or you can use a 10-inch, whatever one you prefer. I like the mortise. I find it's easier to finish the base, at least for me. So I'm just going to put it in the cold jaws. That's another good use for the cold jaws. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I got a mortise turned into it now with a dovetail. I've got a ring cut around the edge. I'm going to just use that to bandsaw it off. Then I'm going to mount it on the chuck. And then after I mount it on the chuck, I'm going to start turning the bottom. I'm going to leave about 3/4 to an inch around the edge that I can flatten to glue the next ring on. I've got the bottom just out now a little bit. I've got it turned flat, about 3/4 of an inch, I guess. I'm going to sand it to make sure it's flat with a sanding block. Okay, that's sanded flat and ready for the first ring. It's 4 3/4 across. By the time I finish, it'll probably be around 4.5. So I'm going to draw it in on a drawing at 4.5. I drew in the first ring I'm going to put on now. It's going to be a light colored ring. I'm using the maple, and it measures out to a diameter of 5 1/4 inches. See it drawn in here. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm going to make a 24 segment ring to put on there. I'm not going to show how to make the ring because I made a video on how to make the basic segmented rings. So if you need to know more about making the rings, you can watch that video. So I'm just going to make a 5 1/4 inch ring with 24 segments. It's dried for 15 minutes. I'm mounting it in the cold jaw chucks. I'm going to do is lightly turn it till it's flat, and I'm going to use the sanding board to get it completely flat. Just on one side, no need to do both sides. After I do that, I'm going to mount it in the tailstock using this live center that's got a 1x8 screw on it. It'll fit right in the tailstock. And that way I can bring it up to the base of the turning and glue it on. Don't have to worry about centering. It'll automatically center. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it and smooth it. Like I said, just on one side. No need to do both sides right now. I got it turned just enough to smooth it out pretty good. I'm going to chalk it now, and I'm going to take a sanding board and sand it absolutely flat and smooth. I could run it through the drum sander, but I like this a lot better. It actually gets it a little flatter than the drum sander ever will. And the drum sander gets it pretty flat. But this don't take too long. That's it. So I'm ready to glue it on. I've got the live center mounted on it now, and it's smooth. What I'm going to do is put a little glue on it, put it in the tailstock, and bring it up on the base piece, spin it around to spread the glue out, clamp it a little bit, not too much, and then let's let it set for 15 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the tailstock and do that. I got a little bit of glue on it, not too much. I'm going to put it in the tailstock now. Now because it's in cold jaws on the tailstock, it'll automatically be centered. I'll bring it up. I'll spin it around some to spread the glue out good. Spin it some. See the glue yet. Okay, now I'm just going to let it set. I don't have to worry about the alignment because it's on a solid bottom. So the glue's dried for over 15 minutes. So I'm going to start turning the bottom inside into the first ring. I'm going to turn it, but I'm going to leave enough at the top so I can turn it into the second ring when the second ring goes on. So I'm just going to turn it a little bit in there. It's already been turned and flattened here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Well, that's setting for 15 minutes. I drew in the next set of rings. Now the next set of rings is going to be the trim rings. There's going to be one dark ring. Then there's going to be 3 rings that make up the dot-to-dot pattern, and then there's going to be another dark ring. So what I'm going to do is make one big dark ring and split it and use it for the bottom and the top, and then I'll make the dot-to-dot trim ring. Now, if you don't know how to make a dot-to-dot trim ring, I've got a video on that, the easy way to make a dot-to-dot trim ring. So first thing I got to do is to make a dark ring, and it's just a little bit over 5.5. I'm going to make it 5 3/4 inch diameter. I've got the dark ring, which is wing gauge, glued up, let it set for 15 minutes. I got it flattened and smooth, got a good glue surface here. I'm going to glue it on the same way I did the last ring, using the tailstock. It's 24 segments. I'm going to line up I'm going to take the joints and make them brick laid so they don't line up. After I get it glued on, I'm going to let it wait for 15 minutes. Then what I'm going to do is flatten the other side, get a good glue surface on it, and then I'm going to part it in 2. That way I'll have a piece for to go below the trim ring and a piece to go above the trim ring. So I'm going to go ahead and just glue this on, same way I did the last one. Now if you don't know, if you got doubts about how to make the basic segmented ring, I did a video on making them. I've got the dark ring glued on. I've got this side sanded and smooth to a good glue surface. I'm going to part it in half. So when I part it in half, I'll already have a good glue surface to glue that piece back on later. Then after I part it in half, I'm going to turn the remaining half here down to 0.2 inches and put a good glue surface on it. I got this piece turned down to 0.2 inches, close enough so the eye can't tell the difference. I've got it sanded flat. I've got the dot-to-dot trim ring made. I've got one surface sanded flat on it. Now it's only 12 segments, and the dots ain't really dots, they're elongated pieces. You can see that better when I'm finished. Now I'm going to go ahead and just glue this one up on it now, same as the rest. This has been on for 15 minutes or more. I've turned and sanded flat this surface. This is the piece I parted off, and as you remember, I already prepared one side of it for glue. Now I can glue it on, then I have to turn it down to 0.2 and sand it. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to mark this surface that's already sanded down flat. Just put a little mark on it. It won't hurt nothing, a pencil mark. Then I'm going to run it through the drum sander to get it down to 0.2 inches so that when I glue it on, all I'm going to have to do is hit it with a sanding board and get it flat and perfect. So that's what I'm going to do, is just run it through the drum sander, get it down to 0.2 inches, and I'll be able to glue it on. And I've got it pinned down, mounted in the cold jaws. Now I've got another problem. These are the smallest pins I got, and they're taller than the ring. So what's going to happen if I try to glue it on, the pins are going to hit and it's never going to mate up to the ring. So I got two ways to solve that. First way is I could cut a bunch of thin strip material and put shims under it to bring it up. If I cut a bunch of pieces, I could actually put shims underneath it and bring it up. Or the other way is to turn this ring down to where the pins will clear. And this ring is pretty big anyway. I made it plenty big. Have a lot of meat there. So I'm just going to turn this down to where the pins will clear. It's way too big anyhow. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll be turning it down now. Okay, I've got it turned down where the pins will actually clear on it. They don't clear by much, but they clear. That's all that's necessary. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue it down now, just like I glued the rest of the rings down. I've got the dark ring on the trim rings. Got it sanded smooth, ready to glue. Now I got to add maple rings, bring the diameter up and get it up high enough. So this is the first one ready to go. Like I said, it's made just like any other ring. I'm going ahead and glue it on. This one here is 6.5 inch. So I'm going to bring the diameter out a little bit with this one, then I'll be making more. I've got the maple rim put on here above the trim rings. What I'm going to do now is just keep making maple rings. I think 2 more. Following this rough drawing I got. The drawing's really rough, but coming out and getting taller until I get it where I want so that I can put on the pattern ring. So I'm just going to make 2 more maple rings, I think, and put them on, each one a little bit bigger, according to this. I've got the dark ring glued on, the wenge ring, and just like before, like I did on the trim rings, I've got it flattened and sanded smooth to give me a good glue surface here. I'm going to part it in 2, just like before. Then I'm going to turn down the piece that's left to 0.2 inches and sand it. And I'll keep this for the other side of the feature ring. So it's just like I did before. So I'm going to part it in 2. The wenge ring, I've turned it down 0.2 inch, what I want, whatever thickness you want, but I want 0.2 inch. I've sanded it flat, give it a good glue surface. The feature ring I've sanded flat, got a good glue surface on it. Now I'm going to glue the feature ring on. When I do, I'm going to watch and make sure that it's lined up with the dot-to-dot ring I put on before. I want to make sure they're both lined up together. So I'm going to go ahead and mount this in the cold jaws and put it on the tailstock, bring it up, and then I'm going to line it up and make sure they're aligned. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, I've got it on the cold jaws, put some glue on it. Don't need to spread the glue around. When I bring it up, I'll spin it to spread the glue. It spreads it out good. Put it in the tailstock. Now bring it up. Spin it. Tighten it a little bit. Spin it. Get the glue spread out good. Spread the glue out good. Tighten it a little more. Spread some more glue out. Now I'm going to line it up with the dot to dots. Tighten her down. Don't have to be too tight. And I'll let her set. After it sets up, I'm going to turn out the inside and then I'll show you what I'm going to do so I can fit the top on. But we're just going to let this set up now for a while. I've got the pattern ring glued on now. And this here is going to be all of the bottom of the turning. The rest of it's going to be the top. I'm going to go ahead and finish turning the inside. After I finish turning the inside, I'm going to take this trim ring that goes over it, and I'm going to use hot melt glue and glue it on and match it up to this pattern ring so that when I put the top and the bottom together, they'll fit. So right now, I'm just going to go ahead and finish turning the inside of this. Like I said, this is going to be the bottom piece. Now I've got the top sanded smooth, ready for a glue surface here. I've got the inside turned and sanded, all except for the last little bit here. And what I'm going to do now is take this trim ring, the one I parted off. I got a good glue surface on one side. I run it through the drum sander to get it down to 0.2, and this is the side the drum sander did. I'm going to put this in a cold jaws and hold it up here And then I'm going to put hot melt glue around the outside to hold it on. Then I'm going to match the inside to the inside of this bottom turning. So I'm going to go ahead and put hot melt glue on, bring it up with the cold jaws. I've turned this down just enough so the cold jaws will clear. I'm going to put hot melt glue on it just to hold it temporarily. Shouldn't take too much. That should do it. I'm now going to turn the trim ring down and finish turning the last little bit, the bottom piece, so that they match up perfectly. I'll just go ahead and turn them down now and get them to match up. Okay, I've got them turned to where they perfectly match here, and I finished turning the inside, that last little bit. What I'm going to do now is bring up the tailstock with my cone on it. I'm going to bring the cone up to hold it, and then I'm going to very carefully turn the outside so they match. It won't be the final dimension, I'll leave a lot of meat. But I'll just turn them so the outsides will match, and at the same time I'll remove the hot melt glue. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, now I'm just going to go ahead and just turn this down just enough where the outsides match and the hot melt glue is gone. That way when I bring the top piece up to glue them, both the inside and the outside will match, and then use the outside as the reference. So the inside then will automatically line up. I've turned it down where they match up and all the hot melt glue is gone. So now the trim ring matches the inside, the trim ring matches the outside. So when I glue the top on, it'll be very easy to line them up. And then I still got more to turn on the outside. They're not near the final thickness. So now I'm going to go ahead, remove this. The ring should pop right off. I got the side mark that glues onto here. It'll have to be smooth when I get the top ring built, or the top piece built. I final sanded it, put my favorite finish on it. Now what I'm going to do is take this piece and set it aside and start working on the top. Time to start on the top. So again, really rough drawing I got. I'm going to make a first top ring out of the dark material, which is Wenge. Then I'm going to put a light strip, and I'm going to put the dot trim, and I'm going to put another light strip and then bring it on down. So the first thing I'm going to do is put the dark one on about 4 3/4 inch piece diameter. What I'm going to do is make a 4 3/4 inch piece, put it on the faceplate with brown paper. And this is just a homemade faceplate, and nut welded onto a washer and then holes drilled. Works fine, be okay. So first thing I got to do is make a Wenge ring 4 3/4 inches. So This is the faceplate I'm going to be using. This is just plain brown paper bag. I'm going to put glue around a circle on the faceplate. I'm going to glue it to the brown paper bag. I'm going to take the top ring here, which I run through the drum center, give it a flat enough surface to mount it to the paper. I'm going to put glue on this, put it in the tailstock and bring it up. Then I'm just going to let them sit for a while. And this then will be mounted to the faceplate with brown paper bag, and I'm going to work on from there. This, of course, is the top ring. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Get it done. I'm going to need to put some more glue in here pretty soon. That's enough glue. Spin it around a little bit, work it around. That should do it. Put some glue on this ring. I think I'm going to have to put more glue in the bottle pretty soon. Okay, I got a gallon bottle of glue. I can refill it. Yeah, that should do. That's plenty. A lot more than what I really need. Bring it up. Spin it around a little bit. Get it spread out. Clamp her down. Just let her sit for a while. Putting this in a drawing is not easy. It's a real rough drawing. Normally I don't do a drawing for something like this, but I'm going to have to do it for this demonstration. For the top, it's real rough, but I got the dark on top. Then I'm going to put a thin white piece, probably about a ½ inch. Then I'm going to put the dot to dot with the dark on both sides of it. This piece will get split. I'm going to put that assembly in here, and then I'm going to put the white underneath again, real thin. What I'm going to do for those is use this ring and split it, half on top and half on the bottom, just enough to separate the dark colors. Then after I do that, I got this nice flat curved piece here, and it's not that big, so I'm only going to use one piece of wood here, one ring. If it was bigger, I'd use 2 rings or 3 rings, whatever it takes, but just one ring here. And this is going to be 2 1/4 inch wide. I've already got the ring made. There it is. I got one glue surface on one side. That'll go in there. Then after that, I'm going to put another small white ring. And then under that, I'm going to put the ring that I made to join the 2 pieces. That's this one. It'll go right under there. So I'm going to start assembling this. And I'm going to start by putting this white ring on to the piece I got on the faceplate. And I'm going to put this on, and I'm going to part it in half and save half for the other side, for the bottom. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, just glue that ring on. Of course, smooth up this surface. I've only got one side, a glue surface on one side of all the rings. That's all I need. So I'm going to go ahead and put this ring on with the tailstock and the coal jaws naturally. I got the Wengate piece, a dark piece, glued on. Got a good gluing surface here. Got it rounded. I'm going to part it off, and I'm going to turn it down to 0.2 inches. I'm going to glue on the dot to dot ring. Then I'll glue the piece I parted off on it and turn it down to 0.2 inches, and then I'll glue on the light ring that I parted off. So I'm just going to go ahead and do all of that. No need to show all of that as I go along. I got all these rings assembled on here, the small ones. And I started turning the inside. Now, on the top, the inside's easy to turn because it comes out wide. So I just started here. It's time to put on the big ring now. I'm going to glue it on. And right here is where I run into trouble sometimes. Sometimes I have a tendency to try and get it too thin right at this angle right here. So I'll glue this on and then we'll go from there, see what happens. Yeah, I got the big ring on now. I'm going to turn some more of the inside. Then I'm going to put on the next ring and turn it some. Then I'll be putting on the ring that matches the bottom. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn a little bit on this. I've rough turned it a little bit, got the surface ready to glue the next ring on. Because this is easy to get to with a turning tool, I'm not going to do too much turning until I get all the rings on. Then I'll finish turning the inside, but it's fairly easy to get to, so it won't be a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and glue the next ring on. I'm not going to turn any more on the inside now until I get this ring on. This is the ring that makes for the bottom. So once I get it on, then I've got to blend this into the inside of this without turning this any. But in order to get it on, I'm going to have to turn the outside down a little bit till the pins just fit. Right now it's too big for the pins to go on. So I'm going to turn it down till the pins just fit, and then I'm going to glue this ring on. Now I've got this turned and actually sanded, but where these pins here will just slip over it. Just barely. Now that'll help keep it centered in case there's any play here in this. And this is the ring, of course, that mates up with the bottom. So I'm going to put a light layer of glue on it and glue it on. And this is the last ring. If I got any glue left in this bottle, I will. I'm going to have to refill it after this. I don't want a whole lot of glue on it. I'm going to get glue on the pins, I'm sure. But that's okay, it peels right off the rubber pins. All right. Rotate it some. The glue spread out pretty good. Find where the joints is and get the joints lined up right. Clamp her down. We're going to let that set a while, a good 15 minutes. Now that I've got this dark piece on, I need to turn the inside right down to where it meets this dark ring. This dark ring, of course, exactly fits the bottom. So I've got to be careful not to turn the dark ring, but to turn everything down just to meet it. Blend it all in. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Is just turn the inside down and blend it in to where it just meets. The inside here has been turned and sanded and finished, all except the very top, of course, which is close to the faceplate, which I'll do later. I sanded this surface flat to get a good gluing surface, so I'm about ready to put them together now. So I'm going to put this one in the tail stock, and I'm going to put the bottom piece back on the chuck, and I'll be ready to put them together. Now I'm going to bring them together, dry, find where the pattern lines up the way I want it. After I get the pattern lined up the way I want it, then I'm going to put an alignment mark on it so that when I glue it, I'll be able to line it up easily. So first, let me line the patterns up. Not quite. Right there is where I want it. So I'm going to put an alignment mark here. Right across both pieces. Now all I have to do is put a thin layer of glue on it and glue it up. I'm going to put a thin layer on it because I don't want any squeeze out on the inside, or at least as little as I can. And it should, yeah, it'll center up real good. Yep, that'll be great. So now to put a thin layer of glue on it. I'm going to have to use my glue spreader for this. Wipe the inside. Let's put it together. Find my index mark. Bring it up. Rotate it back and forth a few times just to get the glue spread a little bit. Oh yeah, looks good. Line up the index marks. Wipe off the glue to make sure it is centered. Yes, it seems to be centered good. The index marks are exactly aligned. Clamp it down and leave it. When it dries, I'll be ready to turn it on the outside. I'm going to start turning it. Leave it between centers right now till I get the outside turned, all except through the very, very top. I'm ready to turn the outside now. I'm going to turn it all except for the very top, which is against the faceplate. I'm going to remove the faceplate before I turn that. But other than that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the whole outside. I've got most of the outside turned and sanded and finished. What I'm going to do now is take this, which I sharpened a little bit, not real sharp, and I'm going to part off this faceplate right where the brown paper is. Once I get it started, it'll rip right off. There we go. I've got the top turned and finished. Now, any turning's not finished until you finish the bottom. So I'm going to reverse it and finish the bottom. I'm going to use coal jaws with these tapered pins to hold it. This flares out, so I can put it inside on these tapered pins. It'll hold it pretty good. Then I'll bring the tailstock up to hold the other end. So I'm going to go ahead, mount it, and get it ready to turn the bottom. Coal jaws on the front. I got blue tape around it to protect it. The centering cone on the back, the tailstock, I'm going to go ahead and turn the bottom, get it finished. I've turned and sanded the bottom. Now I'm going to take it off, sign it, put a little finish on it, and I'll be done. There you have it. That's how I do a two-piece turning. I hope you got something out of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. And hope you come back and see my other videos. And thank you for watching. And I'm going to put my email address on the bottom here. If you have any questions, be sure and email me. And thank you for watching.